Gods and Semi-Devils. Author, Jin Yong. Chapter 1, Part E. Zhang Ling got up as well. Since you didn't mean to, I'll guess I'll let that one slide. Good thing you finally came around, you scared the hell out of me right then and there. Duan Yu said, back in the Sword Lake Palace, if you didn't show up and help me, I was sure to get a couple of slaps on the face. Now that I fell twice, I say everything is even. When it comes down to it, it's all fate, I can't avoid it. Zhang Ling replied, why are you talking like that? Are you still mad at me? Duan Yu answered, well, you don't expect me to cheer, great, wonderful, or turn around and thank you when you hit me, do you? Zhang Ling grabbed his hand, said in an apologetic tone, please don't be mad at me. I swear I won't hit you ever again. Duan Yu said, only if you let me hit you really hard twice. Zhang Ling really don't want to, but seeing how he has turned around and is about to walk off, she relented, alright, I'll let you hit me twice. Just don't hit me too hard. Duan Yu replied, if I don't hit you hard, then how can I get my justice? It has to be hard. If you don't want me to hit you, then just forget it. Zhang Ling sighed, closed her eyes, and quietly said, alright. But after you hit me, you can't be mad anymore. After a while, Duan Yu still haven't hit her yet. So she opened her eyes and saw Duan Yu looking at her, sort of smiling but not quite. Zhang Ling asked in surprise, what are you waiting for? Duan Yu stuck out his right pinky, lightly flicked once on her right cheek, and then lightly flicked on her left cheek. Smiling, he said, alright. That's as hard as I could hit you. Did it hurt much? Zhang Ling can't be any happier, I knew all along that you were a good person. She's standing just a feet or so away from Duan Yu, her fragrance permeates the air. The more Duan Yu look at her, the prettier she becomes. He didn't want to move away. After a long while, he finally said, alright, now that I got my revenge, I need to go find that Si Kongxuan now. Zhang Ling anxiously said, dummy, don't go. You don't know a thing about the rules of the martial world, if you somehow offend him accidentally, I can't get you out of it this time. Duan Yu smiled and shook his head, don't worry, I'll be back soon, just wait for me here. He turns around and starts to walk toward the green smoke. Zhang Ling stood there trying to decide what to do, then she said, alright, like you said, melon seeds ate together, sword blades we take on together. She chased up to him and they walked side by side toward the smoke. Soon, they see two men dressed in yellow running up to them. The older one on the left spoke up, who is it? What are you here for? Both men had a medicine bag hanging off their shoulders, each had a wider than usual saber in hand. Duan Yu answered, I am Duan Yu, I wish to talk to Master Si Kong of Yu Clan. The old man asked, what for? Duan Yu replied, I will tell Master Si Kong when I see him. The old man asked, may I humbly ask which sect are you from and who your master is? Duan Yu answered, I'm not of any sect. My master's surname is Meng, his name is Shu Sheng, and he has styled himself Shu Ru. My master's specialty is logic of changes, and has had some remarkable success in the field of talks of the divine and systems of diction. He was, of course, referring to his teacher that was invited by his dad to teach him the 4 books and the 5 classics. That old man, hearing the talks of the divine and the systems of diction, thought they were some weird and strange kung fu. Duan Yu standing there casually fanning himself with the fan in his hand have all the looks of a kung fu master who does not want to show himself. Although the old man has never heard of anyone in the martial world named Meng Shu Sheng, but since Duan Yu said he has had some remarkable success, he probably isn't just some nobody. So he politely said to Duan Yu, if that's the case, then please wait here for a second while I go and report to my master. Zhang Ling waited until he hurriedly ran up and around the hill, then turned to Duan Yu and asked, what was all that lie about logics of changes? What kind of kung fu is that? What if Si Kongxuan tests you later? How are you going to cover that? Duan Yu replied, I remember most all of the cycle of changes. It probably wouldn't be that bad if Si Kongxuan wants to test me on the meanings and philosophies within it. Zhang Ling just stared at him, not sure how to respond. The old man came back and said with a stone-cold face, what the hell are you talking about? Master tells you to go see him. From his looks, he probably got a good bit of scolding from Si Kongxuan. Duan Yu nodded and started to walk up with Zhang Ling. Soon the three of them made their way around the mountainside and came up to 20 or so men sitting around in a pile of scattered rocks. Duan Yu walked up, seeing a short and skinny old man sitting on the tallest rock, He has a goatee beard and has an arrogant expression on his face. Duan Yu figured that he probably is the head of the Divine Farmer clan Si Kong Xuan, so he cupped his fist and said, Duan Yu is honored to meet Master Si Kong. Si Kong Xuan just merely nodded his head, not even getting up. He asked, Mr. Duan, why are you coming to see me? Duan Yu replied, I heard that your clan and No Measure Sword has become mortal enemies. Having just witnessed two people of No Measure Sword dying a most horrible of deaths, my heart could not bear it and decided to come here in an attempt to try and stop all this killing. Enemies are easy to make but hard to break, and besides, this kind of vigilante killing is against the law. If any governor or officials find out, it could be a lot of trouble. I hope that Master Si Kong would stop before it is too late and not trouble No Measure Sword anymore. Si Kong Xuan just sat there and listened to him talk. Now that Duan Yu stopped talking, Si Kong Xuan still did not respond, just looked at Duan Yu sideways. Duan Yu continued, what I just said is a plea for Master Si Kong to think it all through before acting. Si Kong Xuan is still looking at him with curiosity. Suddenly he let out a hearty laugh and said, who do you think you are? Actually coming here and try to distract me? Who told you to come here? Duan Yu answered, nobody told me to come here, I came here because I wanted to. Si Kong Xuan replied, I have been walking around in the martial world for 40 years, and never once has seen anyone as brazen as you little bastard. Ah Sheng, seize these two little kids for me. The tall man besides him answered and grabbed Duan Yu's right arm. Zhang Ling immediately shouted out, hold on. Master Si Kong, Mr. Duan has only been trying to politely persuade you, if you don't want to listen then don't, why come to blows? She turns to Duan Yu, big brother, Divine Farmer clan won't listen to you. We don't need to get involved in other people's business, let's go. Ah Sheng has already grabbed Duan Yu's arm and twisted them behind his back. He looked at Si Kong Xuan, waiting for his instructions on what to do next. Si Kong Xuan coldly said, the thing that the Divine Farmer clan hates the most is other people meddling in our affairs. There must be something more to you two babies coming here and wasting my time. Ah Hong, seize the girl. Another man answered as he extends his hands toward Zhang Ling. Zhang Ling stepped 3 steps to the side and said, Master Si Kong, in truth, I'm not scared of you. It's just that my mom and dad does not want me to make trouble. So let my big brother Duan go, or else when you force me to respond in kind, it would not be much fun. Si Kong Xuan laughed heartily at that comment, well aren't we boasting a little too much? Ah Hong. What are you waiting for? Ah Hong answered again as he tries to grab Zhang Ling's wrist. Zhang Ling pulled her right arm back and sent her left palm out. The palm is like a knife as it heads toward Ah Hong's forehead. Ah Hong lowered his head to avoid the move, but Zhang Ling's right fist came in from underneath in an uppercut. It caught him squarely on the jaw and knocked him onto his back. Si Kong Xuan casually observed, seems like the girl can do a thing or two, but not enough to be able to get away with it here. He shot a look over at a tall old man besides him and waved his right hand. The old man immediately stood up and stepped up to Zhang Ling. He is a whole 2 feet taller than Zhang Ling and his hands came in from above, like talons, straight for her shoulders. Zhang Ling immediately dodges out of the way, but the man's left hand merely missed her face by inches. Feeling the piercing wind caused by the move, Zhang Ling started to get a little scared. She spoke up, Master Si Kong, tell him to stop. Else don't blame me for being impolite, and when my dad scolds me for this in the future, you won't be in such a good shape either. As she is talking, she dodged 3 more moves from the old man. Si Kong Xuan commanded, grab her. The old man led on with his left hand while his right hand drew a little circle. Suddenly he flipped his palm down and grabbed onto Zhang Ling's right arm. Zhang Ling let out a little scream and squirmed in pain. She shook her left hand and hissed a couple of times. A flash white shot out. The old man let out a muted groan, let her arm go, and sat down on the ground. The marten has bit him on the back of his hand and has already jumped back into Zhang Ling's waiting hands. A middle-aged man jumped out from beside Si Kong Xuan and helped the old man up. The old man's whole body was shaking and the back of his hand has turned pitch black. Zhang Ling hissed twice more and her marten scrambled towards Ah Sheng's face. Ah Sheng tried to bat it away, but the marten instead just bit him on his hand. Ah Sheng's kung fu is not as good as the old man's, so he is even less able to tolerate it. Immediately he curled up into a ball and started to scream. Zhang Ling grabbed Duan Yu's arm, started to walk off quickly, and whispered, We are in trouble now, let's get out of here. The men sitting around Si Kongxuan are all the top fighters in the Divine Farmer clan. These men have dealt with poison for most of their lives and has seen pretty much every kind of poison there is. But this Martin's lightning speed and incredible poison is something that none of them has ever heard of. Si Kongxuan shouted, "Seize this girl this instant. Don't let her get away." 4 men answered his order and jumped up. They split into 2 groups and came at the 2 of them from opposite sides. Zhongling hissed several more times and the Martin jumped from one person to the next. In a blink of an eye, all 4 men are either rolling on the ground or curled up into a ball. The members of the Divine Farmer clan all know that this little Martin is indeed something to be reckoned with, but nobody wanted to seem cowardly in front of a leader. So 7 or 8 more men came chasing after them. Zhongling threatened, "If you don't want to live then come on." The men are all holding a weapon, be it a medicine bag or a short saber, all hoping to try and bat away the Martin with his weapon. But the Martin is faster than any flying weapon in the world, and soon all of the men were rolling on the ground as well. Si Kongxuan tossed off his robe, reached into his bosom and took out a small bottle. He applied the contents of the bottle to his hands and arms, and started chasing after Duan Yu and Zhongling. He jumped in front of the 2 of them and said, "Stop." The Martin jumped from Zhongling's hands towards his nose. Si Kongxuan held his palm up vertically, but couldn't help but feel nervous. He is not sure whether or not this medicine that works against snake poison will work against this poisonous Martin that he has never heard of before. If it doesn't, then his life and the entire clan is destroyed. The Martin was just about to bite down on his hand when suddenly it twisted in the air, and bounced back to Zhongling by rebounding off of his hand with its back feet. Turns out that inside the Martin there is stored a great amount of snake poison, which is exactly what the medicine that Si Kongxuan applied works the best against. Si Kongxuan was delighted. Immediately he struck out with his left palm. The palm wind was fierce, Zhongling could not get out of the way and almost fell over. Duan Yu, on the other hand, was completely overwhelmed by what is left of the palm wind and fell back on the ground. Zhongling anxiously hissed a couple of more times, urging the Martin to attack. The Martin jumped out again, but it could not bear the medicine on Si Kongxuan's palms. So it instead went after his head and legs, but Si Kongxuan waved his arms around, protecting his body, making it impossible to get close.